My name is Sandy Jones Garrison, and I interviewed Thomas Benjamin Gray, Sr. on August 18, 2015, at his residence on Dippin' Vat Road in Buxton, North Carolina. Mr. Gray, or Tommy, better known to his friends and family, had just celebrated his 96th birthday and agreed to share some memories with me. How old were you on your birthday?
1 year older than last year.
That's a good answer. I like that.
I was 95.
96, your son says.
96, yeah.
Amazing how you lose track of 1 year.
Yeah, I didn't even pay attention to him.
So,
kids will say, Daddy, you had a birthday coming up, and they may or may not tell me which one it is, and if they tell me, I wouldn't remember.
Did you have a birthday
They
cake?
always give me cake.
Do you have a favorite cake?
You know what? It would offend them if they knew. My favorite is a plain cake.
Like a vanilla, a white cake?
Right. No, just like a plain cake.
Oh, plain cake. No frosting?
No frosting. That's my favorite.
Did your mom used to make that?
Mm-hmm.
She did? Like, she put layers, or it's just one layer cake? Just
layers.
You know what my husband likes? He doesn't like cake. He wants pies for his birthday.
I don't blame him. So do I. Well, why is it down here when I say something to people about peach pie? Peach pie? I've never heard of such a thing.
Really? Where are they from?
I don't know. Peach is my favorite.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you one other thing. When I was on the this Navy repair ship, the commanding officer, Captain, I can't think of his name now. Anyway, his favorite was peach. And we had a baker who was in charge of the bake shop from down in North Carolina. So about once every week at least, we'd have peach pie up the exec's office about 9 o'clock at night. 3 old North Carolina boys.
So you were in the Coast Guard?
Mm-hmm.
Were you stationed down here or out of Norfolk?
Everywhere. A couple of years in Iceland and
Iceland?
Yeah, and different. During the whole time that you're in there, you transfer to here, there, everywhere. It's quite interesting.
What do you remember about Iceland? Were you there very long?
2 years.
That's pretty long.
Yeah, it sure was. During World War II.
World War II.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were you on a ship, a large ship?
Yep.
Do you remember the name of the ship?
Vulcan, Vulcan, the AR-5 aviation repair.
Aviation repair?
That's the AR stood for.
So how do you train for something like that?
How do you train?
Yeah, how do they...
Well, in my case, I got picked up floating around and wound up on there for 2 years. That's how I trained for it.
So you learned by having to do it?
Yeah.
Were you married then? Was this before?
Just married.
You were newly married.
Yeah.
So you joined the Coast Guard, and your wife stayed in Buxton?
Mm-hmm.
You always stayed in Buxton?
Mm-hmm.
So,
in fact, part of the time we stayed with Mom and Pop.
And that's your
my mother and dad.
Your mom and dad? Where do they live? They live in Buxton?
Mm-hmm.
Where in Buxton?
Maybe I could just say, do you know where Jack Gray lived?
Yeah.
That's the old family house.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Gray is your brother?
My baby brother.
Your little brother. But that's where your mom and dad lived.
Mm-hmm. And my grandfather before him.
Your grandfather's from here?
Yeah. He was one of the keepers. They used, instead of officer in charge, they used to call them keepers of Coast Guard stations.
What was his name?
Amelich, Amelich Thomas Gray.
And you're named after him, I bet.
That's right.
That's an unusual
Thank the Lord
first
they
name.
didn't give me Amelich anyway.
Amlek. Is that how you pronounce it? Amlek?
I didn't hear much about it. It just happened to be a biblical name that somebody reached in. And,
Yeah. That's an unusual first name.
Yeah.
So that was your grandfather. So he was Amlet
His name was Amelich
Thomas Gray.
Gray.
Was he born here?
He was born and raised in Avon.
So he was born, I'm trying to think, in Avon. Do they have a clinic there? I mean...
And he was officer in charge of Coast Guard Station. So call it clinic, whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of trainees, I guess you'd refer to him as a clinic. Trainees came and enlisted there and trained there.
So he trained, he lived in Avon, and then your grandfather, and then eventually he moved to Buxton.
Right.
Did he build that house?
When my dad, they sent him out North Carolina State College where he was educated.
Your dad?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
And so there was a lot of, you want to call it living or visiting for 2 or 3 days back and forth.
Yeah. What's your dad's name?
Charles.
Charles. Is he a Charles Thomas, too?
No, his name is, okay, I'll tell you a little thing. When he was at State College,
This is your dad.
he had a very, very close personal friend. They agreed to name each of their firstborn boy after the other. And my dad's first child was Charles Fascio.
Uh-huh.
And
his good friends, now he was supposed to name his firstborn after your dad, right?
right,
And did he do it?
yeah,
He did?
sure.
And what was do you remember what his last name was? His best friend is Charles
Fascio Stevens.
Stevens. He wasn't from here, was he?
No.
That's funny.
No one could prove us wrong. All
Yeah,
right.
that's right. That's a good story. They named each other's firstborns after each other. Good thing they had sons.
Yeah.
That'd have been awful embarrassing if they had girls.
I think they broke that down a little further enough to say firstborn boy. I
Funny.
suspect anyway.
Yeah.
Since I wasn't there, I couldn't swear to that.
Well, what's your mom's name?
My mother was born and raised in Buxton. Her name was Odessa,
Odessa. That's beautiful.
and her last name was Jeanette.
Jeanette. So she was a Jeanette, and she married a Gray.
Right.
So two long-standing families
Now,
married
it's
each
about
other.
to come back into it. My granddaughter married a Jeanette,
Did she?
Heather Gray, Jeanette.
So it's like full circle,
Yeah,
you know.
that's right.
So now a Gray is married a Jeanette.
Well, I'm telling you, you talk about hell raisers, a child born from them now with that much Jeanette blood in
Oh,
them.
is that a good? That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Good and bad thing.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Now, what was your wife's name?
Winnie, W-I-N-N-I-E,
Oh,
and she came here the year she finished college.
yeah.
She came here as a teacher.
You snatched her up.
Damn right I wasn't going to let her get away.
I mean, did you just see her walking along the road, or how did you meet
Well,
her?
she was here, for 2 years. And, just, there's a picture of her. You see her walking along the road. You
She's
stop
beautiful.
look 3 times.
She was single. That was good for you.
Yeah. She is always, and It was beautiful, inside and out.
Sounds like a good
All
woman,
the kids call her Miss Winnie.
Miss Winnie. Was she a teacher in the elementary school or
Mm-hmm.
the high school or?
Yeah, I think 6th, 7th.
Oh,
grade.
like middle
Yeah,
school range.
middle school. She's from Gastonia originally. Finished college and came out right here to be
Yeah.
a teacher.
What was her? Do you remember her maiden name? I'll ask Tom if you don't remember.
Oh, I know. Wilkins, I reckon I know.
Well, I didn't know.
Wilkinson.
Oh, Wilkinson.
Mm-hmm.
So she met you. Did you meet at a Coast Guard function or
God,
a church or?
How would I know?
You just saw her and you knew that you wanted to meet her.
Yeah, I
She was
did.
pretty.
Right.
Pretty and she was smart.
That's right.
Then you joined the Coast Guard,
Mm-hmm.
and then you traveled all around. And you said you went to Iceland. Do you remember?
2 years there.
2 years. Were you able to come home?
No, not doing that 2 years.
So you were on the ship.
Yeah, it's a large ship. AR was the initial on it, the aviation repair ship. I reckon it was about between 300 and 400 in the crew.
So how many on the ship? How
About-
many?
Enlisted, I'd say, about 3,500.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you know, that was right during World War II. So that's the reason they shifted it from place to place. It was such a sophisticated ship, aviation repair ship primarily, because it would repair submarine or torpedoed ships or anything. But it's a
So you were trained on the job to do those repairs.
mhm.
You must be smart with electronic and mechanical.
No, I was
things.
smart in being a gopher boy. Go to the bakery and get us a pie or a cake. I was primary a small boat captain, and that's the reason they picked me up there. The boat was became disabled, and they radioed the USS Vulcan which is a station ship up there, to give relief, and it took us all off and then towed the ship up. It was a repair ship, so it stayed there for probably a month being repaired.
So, but you were in the Coast Guard when you were in that smaller boat, right? Before
And
the Vulcan
I was still
picked
in
you
the
up.
Coast Guard when I was on the Navy ship.
You must have a lot of water experience growing up in Buxton. You had a lot of boating experience. So is that why you joined the Coast Guard?
Yes, it was. Well, I enlisted on a 350-foot Coast Guard cutter, and after a couple of years on there, I asked to change my rating to a surfman and be transferred ashore. My first duty station ashore was in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Pretty tough.
I wonder how long you were there. I mean, was it just like a tour duty, not very long, or?
They were getting ready to make at Cape May, New Jersey, a large thing like a training base.
Oh, at Cape May?
Uh-huh.
Cape May, okay.
And so I was there as a yeoman to begin with.
It was a adventure?
So at the end, you did or didn't like something you liked you like shift around in a way.
Were you the only one in your family to join the Coast Guard?
believe this or not, during World War II, at one time, Mom's whole 5 boys were in the Coast Guard. Because I was the only one that stayed in it.
How long did you stay with the Coast Guard?
9.5 years it was. When it was over with, I said, I'm not going to put up with this car. I don't like going to sea. And out of the 9 years, 7 of it was at sea on different ships.
I thought you had put in for a surfman.
I did.
You must have did it for a short period of time.
Well, I stayed on the ship. And then, during my time as a surfman, during World War II, they'd take surfmen and transfer to some Coast Guard station around.
What other countries did you go to? Any other ones besides Iceland?
Yeah, but for no particular stay, Newfoundland, we were in the North Atlantic.
Oh, but that was beautiful.
Yeah, it was. I always thought, because born and raised down here, and Newfoundland was always considered the home of the elk. And I always wanted to get a chance to go elk hunting up. I never did.
Did you ever take Winnie up there to Newfoundland?
Oh, never had a chance.
You never. So did you ever get back to Iceland? Any of those places? Once you left the Coast Guard?
Only for a day or something going to. I didn't want to go back.
I don't blame you. There must have been some hard memories when you were serving.
Well, they were. I don't know if you consider them hard memories or not, though.
Do you remember any times where it was hard? The sad things that happened while you were in the Coast Guard?
Oh, yeah. To me, Coast Guard had so few ships. One 300-foot Coast Guard cutter was torpedoed and sunk. Lost the entire crew. That's one of the hardest memories I ever had in the Coast Guard.
Where were you?
Well, we were a ship the same size of that, so it was full speed ahead, to go to the area.
This makes you realize how precious your life can be.
And
to serve your country, and then, to have that tragedy happen to your fellow Coast Guard men.
It sure was. I remember when I put in for a special order discharge. They called it a special order because it wasn't my term. The enlistment period wasn't over.
So when you came back home, did you have children? Did Miss Winnie have children at that time?
We had children. Yeah, after I got back, when we got back home, I had the 2 children, Tommy Jr. And the youngest one, Charles, which is in Florida.
And Charles is named after your father?
Right. And Tommy after my granddaddy.
And after you?
Well, if you want to say that.
Well, is it Thomas?
Thomas.
Thomas.
I'm Thomas Benjamin. And he's Thomas Benjamin Jr.
And then his younger brother is Charles.
Charles.
What's his middle name?
Lloyd, after his other granddaddy.
I bet your wife had a lot to do with that. Make sure keeping family names in there.
She had to do with everything in my life.
She did, didn't she? I'm sorry I didn't get to meet her.
Oh, I am too.
When you came back from the Coast Guard, did you work in Buxton or?
Well, when I insisted that I didn't want to go to sea anymore and wanted to get out, I got out without a job in hand. And so we lived then part of the time with Mother and Dad, and then rented at him. But I did not have a job. I started as a partner with me, Dr. Burroughs, the first television system down here. And just about the time the money ran out, we were right in the middle of the expenses thing. So we just sold out to the company that was building a system. And then, of course, I did what everybody down here does, was I fished some,
Did you do commercial fishing?
just a little bit.
What, like pound netting, or what
No,
kind of fishing did
it
you do?
was mostly in the ocean, and some of it was in the Sound.
Were you by yourself?
No, I always had one man that was with me in particular. He was several years older than me. Cantwell Miller, my first cousin.
What was his name?
Cantwell was his first name. Cantwell.
So he was a cousin older than you.
Yeah.
And he helped you go out there and do some fishing.
Mm-hmm.
What were they catching out there?
Oh, we fished for one catching rock way back there.
Really?
That was a northern fish. New Jersey was the apex of the rock fishing. But
Well, who bought all that fish when you brought it back?
Oh, we had markets here. Always did. I remember as a kid, the fish markets. You see, the markets were way out in the Sound, beyond the shallow water, what we call beyond the reef, and that was where they would put up markets. And
How would you get to them?
well, you were out there then, where you caught your fish.
So you catch your fish and you would take it to a market,
Right,
but not on the mainland.
right.
Out there in the Sound?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Huh.
And later on, the market sprung up Hatteras, and 1 year that didn't last too many years, I understand.
Huh. That's interesting. What kind of boat did you have?
Well, we didn't have very big boats then. No one did. And later on, I came up with,
Do you have a picture of one?
yeah,
Like a 22-foot boat?
42.
Oh, 42.
For years and years, that was just as big a boat.
Did you own it? Or you?
Between me and the bank.
Okay. So you were borrowing it from the bank.
Yeah.
It was a 42-foot boat, and it was rigged for ocean fishing, and you were catching rockfish.
Rockfish, and later on, all kinds of fish.
What kind of bait were you using?
Well, it depends. You didn't always fish for wood bait, nets and everything. But bait, I used for when we took party fishermen out. We would have ballyhoo about so long and strung with a copper wire and a hook going through them. And
A copper wire. They still do that today?
now your baits are factory made now.
Yeah. So you strung the ballyhoo with the copper wire,
Uh-huh.
and then what kind of rod and reel were you using?
No particular kind, whichever you could.
You probably made it.
Yeah, you could get and get a pretty good buy on
Yeah.
out of Elizabeth City. Oh,
Did you go to Elizabeth City a lot?
I used to.
Is that where you would go to get your supplies?
Oh no, we would get them locally. The store, we had stores down here then,
Okay.
and we'd order them to what we wanted out of a catalog or something through the store.
Someone else told me that they would have a
Yeah.
catalog, and there was someone down here that you would go to that had the catalog.
Yeah,
I don't remember. There was like a store.
right. My dad's store for one.
Your dad had a store?
Oh yeah, right where the old house is now. Yeah, a large store
Next to the house, or where the house is now?
right in front of it.
Right in front of it.
Because we didn't have a highway then, you know.
So where the highway, where 12 is, was where the store was.
Right.
And it was in front of your mom and dad.
And the old store is now Mike Finnegan's home across the road.
So they were able to move the store.
Yeah, my dad was a civil engineer, you know. Yeah, my dad graduated State College. And
But your dad was born here.
boy, he was born and raised here.
And then he went
And
off
my
to college.
granddaddy sent him away to school. He went to Elizabeth City to finish his high school and everything, and then on to State College.
So it was like North Carolina State College? That's what it's called? So he got a civil engineering degree. And your dad came back here, met your mom.
They had already
And she was
met.
a Jeanette.
Yeah.
Your mom was a Jeanette. And then they married. So he worked as a civil engineer, your dad.
Yeah, and he worked.
But he ran the store.
He had three jobs at one
Your
time. Principal of school.
He was?
Yeah, at the same
Oh.
time. I think he was about 48 years.
When did he have time to have all those kids?
They don't teach at nighttime. and the winter was cold.
Yeah. So your dad was a principal of the school. There was just one school, I take it, from like first grade to 12th grade.
When they consolidated and made a school of all of the island, he was superintendent of that.
So he worked with the school system for 40
About 40-some years.
some years. And he owned a store.
Right.
What was the name of the store?
Charles P. Gray store. And
He was an engineer. Did he have an engineer job too?
oh yeah, he did a lot of contracting,
Okay.
engineering.
Your son told me he was a lay minister.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Portsmouth Island when you were growing up?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
There was no one lived there, but he used to love to go to there because it was a great place to go fishing or crabbing or something. We go to Hatteras and go to Ocracoke, and there was no regular transportation from Ocracoke to Portsmouth Island, so you always had somebody lined up from either here or Hatteras that would take you their boats, and they'd pick you up at
So did you go directly from Hatteras to Portsmouth Island, or did you go to Ocracoke first
Ocracoke,
and then to Portsmouth?
right?
I was still thinking about your dad and all the jobs he had. So he had the store.
Have a lot of jobs.
Did you work in the store?
Very little. That was winding down the time I came along.
Okay. And that's when he probably became more involved with the school.
Well, yeah, he was a principal of the school. Same time he had the store.
And then as an engineer, did he have anything to do with the new power company coming in?
We wouldn't have power. We wouldn't have water. Were it not for him. That's
Why is that?
because he was the backbone of getting it.
Was he really?
Well, see, he was an educated man. He knew how to get things done, get around, and he maintained a good relationship with our congressman. And
So he was able to get it
Well,
done, pushed through.
let's put it this way. He was instrumental. I remember when we had no water system and no generating plant.
What was that like?
Off and on.
So you had a generator growing up.
Yeah, we
Before
had
the power.
a small one, yeah, for the house.
So your ice box probably was just an ice box.
Well, we also had a 32-volt generating plant for our home, and was able to locate a 32-volt refrigerator.
And what'd you do before the electricity come on? What'd you do for lights? You just had the kerosene lights?
We had the 32-volt generating system.
Yeah.
And before that, kerosene.
But you had always have to have gas, right?
Yeah.
To operate all that.
Yeah.
So was that hard to get gas?
Well, along about the end, we had the filling station would pop up here or there, so it was no problem to go to either Buxton, Avon, or somewhere to get the gas.
Okay. You're not the baby of the family, are you?
There were 3 girls, then 5 boys. I'm the
boys.
second boy.
Okay.
I'm number 5.
Where did you all sleep?
Did you look at that house?
I have been. That is a huge house.
Have you been upstairs?
Yes.
Well, the house that burned down was identical to that, except it had one more bedroom. There's 5 bedrooms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bedrooms there. There were 6 bedrooms in the old home that burned down.
Well, how did it burn down?
Well, we didn't have any fire department.
Oh.
How do other houses catch fire?
Just like from a wood stove or
Yeah,
something like that?
right.
It was just a bad luck, I guess.
Yep. Or somebody paid more attention to the cigarette that they were smoking than they were.
But no fire department. I thought there was a fire department.
I remember when the fire department was developed, each community wanted one, and they had one. And then as things consolidated, they had the large fire department.
So I wonder when the first fire department came about.
Consolidated fire department.
Yeah. I'll look it up.
I could only come within a couple of 3 years.
Tell me about your mom.
Sweetest. She had long black hair.
Your mom did?
Yeah. Done it up to knot most of the time.
What did your dad call her?
Odessa.
Odessa?
Odessa.
Odessa? Was she a homemaker? Was she a teacher too, or?
No, she didn't teach, but she was a homemaker.
Yeah.
That's right.
Did she teach in the Sunday school?
Oh yeah. He was always the principal of the school, and he had the Sunday school at the church.
Oh, like the superintendent of the Sunday school?
Yeah.
And your mom, she was involved with, did she sing in the choir?
Yeah. But she should have sung in the choir more. She did, because she had a beautiful voice.
She did. This is the Buxton Methodist Church,
right?
Okay. When your dad was principal of the school, did you get in trouble a lot in school?
No,
or did he not know that?
I think he ran a tight ship. Some of the mothers that were interested in school, don't you think they didn't walk all the way to that school? And they didn't make the appointment ahead of time.
So did you ever get in trouble?
I don't recall that he ever did.
No, you never got in trouble? Were you a good student?
Oh, no, I got my tail beat. And when I got home, got it beat the second time.
Uh-huh. So the principal would give you a whipping, and that was your dad.
Yeah.
Then you would come home and then your mom would give you a whipping.
Yeah.
No, that's too bad. That's hard.
I'll tell you one little incident. You remember Miss White, don't you?
I don't remember her.
Carol Dillon's mother. Well, some of the larger boys in the grades were always making some of us fight. And this one boy and I, we didn't want to fight, we were friends. And they'd hold sand up between the two of you and say which one was a coward, which one wouldn't flirt at the other one's face to start the fight.
That wasn't you, was it?
Oh, yeah, by that time.
Oh, it was? You were the one holding the sand?
No.
Did you get sand put in your face?
I did.
You did?
Nothing.
And then what happened?
See,
Then you'd have to fight.
We lived across, we called it the Crossway.
I'm trying to think where that is.
Well,
Was it down near the store?
the school then was where the state building is.
Oh yeah, where the barber shop is, down that road,
Yeah.
where the old gray house is.
Right.
So that's
And-
where the school was.
Yeah. And
That wasn't too far from your home.
no, Pop would walk home for lunch.
No kidding.
No lunch rooms, he'd just walk across Crossway to have lunch. And how many times I've prayed for. See, if he was sick or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
we had no school. Period. I
Wait a
prayed
minute, so you would pray that he gets sick,
he'd be sick or something.
so school would be canceled.
Yeah.
I bet he was never sick.
Yes, he was.
He was. How did they cancel school? I mean, they would show up and your dad wasn't there and they just all go back home?
Either that or they get a lot of notices out during the night.
What did you do when you had hurricanes down here? Did you stay?
Sure.
And you just shuttered up your
Yeah,
windows?
batten down the hatches, they call it.
And then you had plenty of water, and you just stayed inside all night long?
Yeah, that's about it.
Did you ever get flooded?
Not up on the hill where we were sitting knee deep in the road down in front of our house.
Yeah. Where Highway 12 is now.
Yeah.
Do you remember the scariest hurricane that went through here?
Yes, I do. My dad and I had just had that 42-foot boat built, brand new. And what they call Burness's Creek down on the shore side down.
Burness Balance
Yeah,
Creek.
and had that new 42-foot boat, and I could see that there was no way to hold the boat where it was. So I arranged 2 large anchors with about 30, 40-foot cable, big cable, and when it broke loose during the middle of the hurricane,
Oh my gosh.
I stayed aboard it until it drifted across into the marsh where I figured I could stand bottom. And I had those lines and 2 anchors fixed, and I jumped overboard with one until it tightened up, then got back to the boat and got the second one so that you had a bridle.
Was this during the storm?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty brave.
No, it wasn't brave. It is what you do to
What you had to do. You never got hurt doing that?
No, let me tell you that storm, though, that was so bad. I don't know whether you know him or not, Mr. Con Farrell.
Say his name again.
Con Farrow.
Pharaoh.
Lived over by where right next to Dare Building Supply was.
Okay.
He said, we had, at the same time we had that boat built, we had an 18-foot skiff, beautiful, boy, a nice one. And just about the time the storm came up, and he said he was walking down the road, and he saw the boat just above the top of the trees with that northwestern wind, northeast wind, and that's how we found where the boat was, and all was left of it was a stern.
That's a horrible story.
Yeah, it is.
A terrible ending for a boat. This was the 18-foot skiff?
Yeah.
So the wind had picked it up.
Turned it upside down, and...
Threw it in the trees.
Yeah.
And then all that was left of it was the stern.
Stern.
Whatever happened to it? Did you have to
No.
junk it or?
Became firewood, I guess.
Firewood. Well, did you save that 42-foot boat?
Oh, yes. Sure did. Because when the wind started to subside, I could wade to the boat into the marsh. I waded to the boat and took one anchor up as I went to the boat, and then the second anchor.
That's brave. Were you by yourself when you're doing all this?
Some of it I was.
Was your dad helping you?
No. He took care of finances.
Was this the boat that you went out fishing with?
Yeah.
Out those the 42-foot boat?
Yes.
Well, good thing you saved it. That's pretty brave that you did that.
Well, I wouldn't call it brave. I'd say just do what you had to do.
I like meeting your son.
He went right straight on to graduate from college, and became, his first job was a teacher, I think. And
Sounds like education's in your family.
it always was.
Your wife was a teacher.
Yeah.
Miss Winnie?
And but my oldest sister, Jeanette Finnegan, she
was a teacher?
Pop sent her to East Carolina. At that time, it was ECTC, East Carolina Teachers College, and then Iva, she elected not to teach.
That's another sister?
Yeah, my next oldest, and but she had to do something. There was no sitting around, so he sent her to Greensboro, and she finished her college in Greensboro, and
Did she teach too?
no,
What did she end up doing?
she married while she was in Greensboro, and
She stay there?
well, stayed in Winston-Salem most of the time.
Oh, Winston-Salem. That's where your sister Iva stayed. That's where
Yeah.
she raised her family.
Yeah.
Winston-Salem. But your sister Jeanette came
Well,
home.
Rome, right, yeah.
Came home and taught school.
Right.
Did she have a family?
Oh, yeah. You know the restaurant up at Avon, what's the name of it?
Dolphin Den?
Dolphin Den.
Dolphin Den?
Her youngest child, no, the second youngest child, was Jay, married this fellow, and they had the restaurants.
Okay.
And but the oldest child was Pete Finnegan, and he passed away about 2 years ago, I guess.
Her oldest child.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then Mike, the youngest.
Mike Finnegan?
Uh-huh.
Now, did Mike Finnegan, was he the owner of that restaurant in Buxton that used to be called Finnegan's? There used to be a restaurant called Finnegan's.
Same Jay that had the restaurant up at Avon.
Dolphin?
Had that one then.
Oh, I didn't know that. You have a big family.
Yep.
I don't know how you kept track of all of them.
Well, they were always a family that wanted to retain the family groups.
Keep your family together.
Right.
So your dad was born here,
He was born in Avon.
but you were born in Buxton. So was there a hospital, or
No.
were you born at home?
Yeah.
You were born at home?
I remember midwife, Miss Rovine Quidley.
Miss Quidley?
Yeah.
She was a midwife?
Yeah.
Do you remember her first name?
Rovina.
Oh, Rovina.
And
So-
Miss, to some degree, Miss Britain Gray was a midwife.
Britain Gray. She was a midwife.
Mm-hmm.
So they deliver all these babies at home.
Yeah, most of them.
Sounds like a lot of babies being born on this island. So there were no hospitals or anything like that. You had your babies at home.
We had a doctor most of the time. A doctor down here.
Oh, you did?
Yep. And he had to cover everything from Rodanthe to Hatteras.
Oh my gosh. That's just too much for one doctor.
Yeah.
So if you had any serious injuries, did the Coast Guard take you up to Elizabeth City, or how did they get you
I
off the
have
island?
flown myself by helicopter.
From here?
Uh-huh.
Were you injured?
I had an abscessed tonsil, and they took me there at that small hospital. I had to get there then to keep popping it with penicillin until it burst the abscess.
Were you a teenager, or?
Yeah, 12, 13, 14.
Oh, you were young. They would take you off the island for the penicillin?
For a serious illness.
Yeah, so they flew you off.
Yeah.
And then where you went is when they did the injections
Yeah.
for the penicillin?
They
Saved your
always
life?
had a hospital at Elizabeth City, you know.
And that's where they went?
Yeah.
Well, it saved your life.
Oh, sure.
So there was a way to get off the island if you had a medical emergency.
Yeah, the Coast Guard was always ready to fly you.
Yeah.
You know, even before they would fly you, they had a Coast Guard boat that was big enough that they would carry you up if they couldn't get up the beach.
Your dad must have been really proud that all 5 of his boys went into Coast Guard.
My uncle said it best to my mother. He was visiting her from Raleigh. They were sitting in the porch swing, going back and forth. She said, he said to her, "Odessa, you must be awful proud of your 5 boys, and not a one of them touch a drop." She looked him right straight in the eye and she said, "Wallace, yes, I am very proud of my..." She knew when to quit.
She was very proud of him, but she didn't say anything about the drop. She's a smart woman. That's funny. Oh, you said your granddad was born here too.
Right, both grandfathers. The Jeanette, one, Mr. Benjamin Jeanette,
Okay.
mother, my granddaddy, he owned a little store not too far from where would you recognize it now?
In Buxton or Avon?
Buxton, about a mile down the road.
There's Connor's grocery store.
Oh, this was ancient. Benjamin
Jeanette had a store too. Right down the road from where your dad was.
Right.
Your dad had
He had the largest store.
Your dad had the largest store.
Yeah.
And that's where you could go and order things from the catalog. And then Benjamin Jeanette had a store Was it a grocery store?
Yeah. It was strictly grocers. My dad carried a line of clothing, work clothing and all.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. But this one man said, Mr. Benjamin Jeanette, see the coffee came in those half grains in, great old big. And he said, that man would never cheat. He said he had seen him so careful in weighing out something that he would split one of those coffee beans.
Well, I have to ask your son what that grocery store was that Benjamin Jeanette owned.
Well, it wasn't. It was a small store.
Did it sell gas? Did he sell gas too?
Oh no.
So it was just groceries.
It was done away with before the end. And my sister, oldest sister Jeanette, used to keep after me to write a book. She said because I had such a vivid memory of so many experiences and everything.
Maybe you can remember more stories to tell me.
Oh God, I'll try to think of them.
You'd be thinking about them.
Embellish them a little.
You can embellish them because they're your stories.
They can't prove it.
And no one can prove it. Well, maybe your son might be able to correct some of them.
He could only tell what was handed down to him.
That's true. That's a good point. Well, you've had a pretty good life.
I have. The good Lord has been good to me. I had a good life.
And you still meet new people.
Absolutely.
Look, you met me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you're telling me a lot about the history because this is where I plan to spend my life.
Not many people grew up at an age where you had a small amount of medical facility available. Not many of them lived to be 95.
Your sister Jeanette,
she was 102.
She was 102?
Yeah.
See, you have longevity in your family.
Well, but Mom was only 81, and my dad was 78. So, man, longevity is like the wind. It comes and it goes.
It does. Were you close to your sister?
Oh, my gosh. Close as a brother and sisters could be.
She married a Finnegan.
Right, who was down here in the naval radio station.
So that family was here too.
Right.
And you were close together.
Yeah.
Because she lived in Buxton too. So you must have saw her all the time.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of family gatherings?
Not as many as we'd think, but we had some.
Well, you just had one last week for your birthday.
Oh, well, that kind, but not the kind where you have all the brothers and sisters and
like
families.
reunions?
Yeah.
Like family reunions?
Had some, but not too many.
So she was your big sister. So she was the first child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was Iva?
And then my oldest brother, Charles Facio.
Who was named after your dad's best friend.
Right.
And then you.
Then
and then you had...
Wallace.
He's
the one who was an attorney.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay.
He died rather... He had some, I don't know, some dementia of some kind.
It was Wallace, and then who was it?
Curtis.
Curtis, and who was the baby?
Jack.
Okay, Jack.
Enjoyed talking with you.